Welcome to the Next Gen Studio podcast, the show where we explore how forward-thinking founders in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry are navigating today's challenges. I'm your host, Elena, and in each episode, we dive deep into the systems, strategies, and mindset shifts that help leaders transition from manual fragmented growth into intelligent, AI-powered systems that increase revenue, improve efficiency, and support scalable, future-ready businesses. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Arus, architect and founder of Minimo Haus, a Berlin-based startup redefining what sustainable modular living looks like. Her work is driven by a deep commitment to sustainability, social impact, and solving one of the most pressing challenges of our time: the housing and environmental crisis. Today, we'll explore how Arus is merging architecture, sustainability, and entrepreneurship to build solutions that scale, and what this means for the future of housing, circular design, and the next generation of AEC companies. Hello, Arus. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Elena. I'm so excited to be here and to see how our conversation unfolds.
Okay, then I would like to jump right in. Your journey to founding Minimo House is rooted in sustainable architecture, community-oriented spaces, and circular economy thinking. Can you take us back to the moment when your vision crystallized? When did you realize that modular circular housing could be the vehicle for what you wanted to achieve?
That question is really bringing me back to like many years back when I was practicing architecture in different architecture studios. I remember always struggling with the fact that sustainability was not at the core of the values of the studios that I was working in. And I was often questioning whether the work I'm doing it has actually any purpose, any meaning in this world. And this questioning, this quest of finding the purpose in my work has kind of led me into thinking more about creating my own work, just finding ways how to create what I'm looking for in other architecture studios, places I've been working in. And so the word sustainability and environmental impact has been part of my kind of vocabulary for a very long time. And the social impact came into my life as well. Also many years back when I was switching back and forth between self-employment and working with companies. And during that period of time when I was self-employed, I was involved in different projects that had the social impact aspect into it. So gradually, these two aspects of society and environment have become like the core values of what I want to do in my work. And as I was like ruminating and like contemplating on how I can actually make this into a business model, what I can do out of it, an idea for a product came about that can also be scaled at a large degree. Since a long time, I was thinking about coming up with a product that can actually be combined with one another in a simple way, and modularity was the way to go forward. And also seeing the industry trends and watching how the national level, the policies are kind of incentivizing this kind of projects to emerge. I thought that modularity would be a good way to address societal issues of housing crisis that is so prominent both in Germany, but also like in other parts of the world, especially in the Northern Europe. So the modularity was defined from that point on. And I was very fascinated with the concept of circular economy when I first heard about it. I thought that this is really a great framework to address environmental crisis with when it comes to material scarcity and how we meet societal needs within planetary boundaries. And slowly this concept became integrated into my vision of creating modular housing. In the end, I decided that this product, Minimo Haus, is going to be a fully circular modular housing solution that will offer a quick housing at an affordable price.
Your background looks really interesting. So you basically transitioned from architect to self-employed, and after that you started a pretty new kind of business model. with
Mhm.
your modular housing solutions. And maybe as is one question that is related more to your background. So would you describe yourself as a born entrepreneur or that came later in life? So connecting your purpose with architecture and like developing a sustainable solution?
I would describe myself as an entrepreneur in the first place, because apart from this project, I have been also involved in other projects previously, that might not always be related to architecture and construction industry. And for me, seeing challenges and looking for innovative ways of how to resolve it is somehow very natural. So because of that reason, I would consider myself as an entrepreneur person in the first place.
On your website, you highlight that your housing solution significantly reduce carbon emissions and enhance energy efficiency. Could
Mhm.
you walk me through the key strategies that guide your approach to developing these kinds of sustainable solutions?
So one of the main goals that we want to achieve with Minimo Haus is offering carbon neutral products. One of the reasons also why we want to do that is because of the national guidelines or national goals that we have in Germany of becoming carbon neutral, having carbon neutral building stock by 2045. We want to contribute to that cause, and it's also very aligned to me personally. And we do that in several ways. On one level, we want to source our materials, or we're sourcing our materials already now. We are in touch with several suppliers from a very regional market. Our company is incorporated in Brandenburg, and the supply market that we're looking into is also largely located in Brandenburg. So the wood that we're sourcing, like another point of the type of the materials we're using, it's primarily wood, and the wood we're sourcing is from the Brandenburg forests, basically. So by doing that, we are significantly cutting down the costs and cutting down the climate cost, environmental cost, the carbon emissions connected to transportation. And by using wood, we also save a lot of carbon inside the structure as we're building it. So additionally, we are not only using wood, but we're also using many other ecological materials. For example, some of the interior cladding will be made out of clay panels, and clay is a very low carbon emission material, building material that can be also reused in multiple times. Circularity is also as a part of the main concept of our products is contributing into lowering the carbon emissions. The structure we have developed allows the individual parts to be disassembled and be reused. So the main frame of the building is made out of a skeletal wooden frame, and the joints we have come up with and also additional parts of the structure allows individual parts to be disassembled. Additionally, like this, so there's one part which is the regionality. The second part is the material choice, and then the structural choice, and then the last part is the services that we incorporate in the building, and how we design it. We allow the individual parts to be approached or to be repaired, to be addressed individually, without addressing the entire building. Let's say if a part of the services need to be replaced, we allow easy access to those parts of the building and repairing of those parts. In this way, the entire life cycle of the building is extended. So looking at the building from a long-term perspective, because of the extended life cycle, because of the repairability of the building, the used materials, by addressing all these points, we are able to cut down the carbon emissions. And when it comes to the second part of your question of the efficiency of the building, we are doing that by meeting like the high standards for energy efficiency, like when it comes to insulation. The thickness of the insulation is chosen in a way to match passive house standards. We are using triple glazed windows, making sure that the building is airtight to avoid leakage of the of the heat. Yeah, currently these are the standards, or these are the guidelines that we're following to achieve the goals we have.
Well, it's really interesting how the concept of circular housing works and how this is also integrated and works together with the environment in a sustainable way. And also, you offer a full service modular solution, which means Minimo Haus is handling everything from design to production to installation. What key challenges are emerging within this end-to-end operational model, and how are you building your team and processes to manage these challenges?
So end-to-end service it was born because of the target group that we're addressing. We are working with housing cooperatives, which is basically individual people coming together into an organization and wanting to initiate a housing project. And these kind of organizations tend to have many challenges to deal with on both like financial part, administrative part. To alleviate their lives in some ways, we wanted to come up with a business model that would help them to have just one point of contact to deliver everything. That they would not need to coordinate between different stakeholders and try to keep track of what is happening. And this is how the end-to-end business model came to life. It is, I would say, it is very aligned with me as an architect, because I am offering architecture services apart from building Minimo Haus on the side, and offering the services connected to design and building permit is very natural in a way to me in my practice. The part that is more when it comes to the delivery and the installation of the product is where we involve additional stakeholders, additional partners to cover up that part of the project. So to be able to offer end-to-end business, end-to-end service model to our target group, we're forming a team of different partners. And we are offering our own services like with the capacity that is already within the team. Apart from myself, we have an engineer in the team and other engineers that are not directly working on the project, but are associated with the project that we can easily incorporate to address any project that we come across.
It's also really interesting that you said that you're also doing this architectural work and then combining this with startup. And how does exactly this works for you personally? So do you have some kind of a system that you follow?
Yeah, very good question regarding my own personal practices with architecture and running a Minimo Haus as a startup. I have an architecture studio as a separate entity, and I have an ongoing project on that in that company. For example, currently I'm working on a residential project in Norway. So the way I prioritize my tasks really depends on where the projects are. And there was a moment where Minimo Haus was a higher priority for me, and architectural projects were more on a pause or on a second priority level. So I would invest more time into doing things. Maybe most of the week I would be invested more on Minimo Haus projects, and when there's more interest or there's more demand on the architectural side, then I have to adjust my time frames. I also have to mention, if we're talking about personal levels, I also have a daughter, so there's many aspects that I need to consider when I'm prioritizing my tasks on day-to-day basis.
It sounds like practicing a lot of prioritization. You're building in a space that requires people to rethink how housing is traditionally built. From your experience, what actually convinces people to trust and adopt modular construction, and where do you see resistance?
While I was working on a business model of this project, I was really looking into many different directions for finding my key customer, which is basically the customer that helps you to enter the market. And while I was doing that research, exactly this question of which customer group is ready for adapting this business model. for adapting modular housing was coming up. So I can say that depending on the customer segment, the answer would be different. My key takeaway was that initiatives like housing cooperatives, especially the ones that are newly emerging, are much more open-minded, much more flexible, and open to innovative solutions than the ones that have been established for a long time. They have things that they do already in certain ways, and they are not really willing to change it. And also, I would say, as a startup entering the market, I need to be realistic in terms of who will be willing to work with me. And companies who are, for example, real estate developers who are already well established and they have their own architecture firms or ways of building, would want to have certain projects built as a reference, to see as a reference before they will actually engage with this company to come up with a solution. So by looking into all these different variables, I thought that approaching a group of people who are already open-minded, sustainability focused and community focused would be more willing to work with us and develop a solution that could actually specifically target their specific challenges, would be more kind of reasonable. And I would say in general, German market, if I would just look at it from more like a general perspective, not looking into any like specific segments, modularity has its place in the market already established. There is a certain percentage for how much of the newly constructed buildings are actually built with modular solutions. My sense is that this tendency or this direction is gradually growing. Because people see that, and the government sees that the housing crisis is real, and we need to address the speed in which we construct our buildings, the efficiency in which we build them, the environment in which we build them, to make more use of the materials and the workforce and so on, to cut down the costs. I think because of these challenges, the modularity prefabrication becomes more of a preferable ways of building.
Great. When you think about the next evolution of Minimo Haus, how do you see AI supporting your design decision, operational processes, or the overall modular production?
Mm-hmm. It is already very important part of our operation and processes. AI in many forms was part of both applications that we have been sending out, funding applications, but also helping us in brainstorming, understanding the market, understanding the challenges, coming up with solutions. I've been really actively using it in different ways, and also in terms of visual definition of the product and playing around with design concepts. So definitely AI is a very important part. When it comes to how we want to integrate AI into our future operation, I think using AI agents for managing, organizing a larger team that we will become over time will be definitely a way to go. Already AI agents are helping me with project management at the moment. Just a simple thing, for example, AI note taker is such an easy tool that I can bring in when I have meetings with others. Yeah, and when it comes to digitalization of the product, we are having digital twins for every module that we are building, and these digital twins allow us to have a better overview of the material stock in the product, and also help us to manage it and see if there's any need for maintenance, if repairs of the modules. So by using AI and digital tools, we will be able to have a better outcome of our life of the lives of the buildings that we're going to build.
Great. So, as I understood, you basically found AI valuable in the market research in generative AI, in AI agents, and also you integrated it in some of your operational processes, which I think is compared to the most of architectural firms. Researchers show that only 6% of architectural firms are like intensively using AI in their processes. At this scale, what are the leading signals or metrics you're watching right now to know you're moving the organization in the right direction? And what matters most for your next phase of growth?
We are at the prototyping phase, and we are raising funds to build our first prototype in Brandenburg. So the key metric for me is to actually get funding. Once we have funding, then I know that we have reached our one of the largest milestones for this space. And another important metric is to see the engagement, to kind of track the engagement from our target group with our product. And with Minimo Haus. So far, there has been several housing cooperatives that have expressed interest with building with our modules in the near future, and we are working together with these housing cooperatives in an ideation phase of the project and a validation of the properties, understanding whether or not there can be modular the housing developments on those properties. So I do think that when it comes to our target group and market in like the place in the market, I do believe that we are in the right place in the right time with the right target group. I think the challenge is to continuously improve our product and continuously stay in touch with our target group to be able to really align our offer with their needs. And by following this kind of framework, or by following this intention, I'm sure that we will be able to enter the market and have the product market fit within the next year or two. As mentioned, we are in a prototyping phase and we are raising funds. So we are aiming to get both public grants and private investment to be able to build this prototype. And by reaching that goal, by being able to raise the amount of money, we will be able to build the prototype in Brandenburg, and we will showcase how the circularity and modularity can meet together to meet societal needs.
Great. So, right people, right place, right time. I come to the last question. For founders and leaders listening who are also building purpose-driven companies, what have been your biggest mindset lessons as you moved from architect to founder and you're scaling right now towards modular production?
Yeah. So the biggest mindset change that happened to me was when I realized that I don't want to be an employee anymore, but I want to create a work that feels meaningful and purposeful for me. And I don't need to work for hours for others, but I can create the work for myself and the lifestyle around it. A challenge I faced personally was a lot of self-doubt and whether I can do it, whether I'm the right person, I have the right knowledge, I have the right skill sets, I have the right personality. There's a lot of doubts still until this point that I have to live with. I don't know if there will be a point where I will not have any of those doubts, but I have somehow learned how to just acknowledge that they are there, and they don't necessarily need to influence my work to a large degree. They can just be there. I can be aware of it, that I'm not entirely sure whether or not I will be able to execute this. However, I can still sit down on my desk and I can open the desk and I can do my best in doing it, in finishing the task. So I want to be committed to this routine of or to this attitude of regardless of the fears and doubts I have, I'm still going to continue working on this project because I find it meaningful and purposeful. The founders who are doing impact work or who are inspired to do, who want to do, I really encourage them to do that. Even though it is a challenging journey in many ways, with full of uncertainty and a lot, like a high degree, a possibility for burnout at all times, you really need to have very good discipline. You need to be very disciplined to be able to avoid those side effects of being an entrepreneur. But the moment where you realize that you are doing the work that you find interesting, purposeful, you are actually advancing in the project, you get feedback from your market, you become interested in different partners, they want to work with you. Maybe you're able to raise funds. You are standing on a stage and you're pitching, and people celebrate your ideas and your courage. You understand that this is the right path, and these events inspire you to continue working, even though you face many challenges at the same time. So to all the yet to become founders out there, I really encourage you to follow your heart and your vision for the life you want to create for yourself and the world you live in.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. Like, entrepreneurship is about going every day out of your comfort zone. Arus, thank you very much for today's episode. I would summarize it like this. So today we spoke not only about how to create great housing, but also new opportunities and to do it more mindfully. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Elena, for inviting me here. I really celebrate your vision for bringing AI closer and innovation closer to architecture, and engaging and kind of creating platform where founders and minds in this field can express their ideas and show the world what they are doing. Your questions are very spot on. I'm very happy that I got the chance to talk to you and to present Minimo Haus to your listeners.